I wanted to ask you about Springsteen because he's your friend, he's your peer. You've been together on stage for 30 years. You're up there working together, but I want to draw the analogy to Mariano Rivera. I covered Mariano Rivera's entire career, and I can't tell you how many times I would have teammates or guys he competed against say, we're out there on the same field, but that guy's at another level somewhere. Is that a fair analogy with Springsteen, that you guys are out there and you're as talented and you're all putting this together, but he has something about him that just sets him to another level?
Yeah, and it's a good sports analogy because there's a lot of gifted athletes, people, or singers, performers that'll go out and do a great job, earn their money. But there's people that are kind of, it's almost like a calling. Like there's some kind of, I've been on the road 45 years, and I think to a man, everyone in the band, all of us are tired of leaving home. We're lucky, my wife says, the champagne problem, you have a home you like. And that's true. But I think once you're out there, there's some kind of healing therapy thing going on. And if you get a guy as talented as Bruce Springsteen that has that, that's compelled to take it to that place, it's like he's possessed. And you can't teach that. You can work harder at what you do, but it's just like that's the way it is. And we've seen that in athletes through the years, on people that don't have the natural talent, like a Larry Bird. Look what he did. And it's that kind of possessiveness, like they're just in love with this at this moment, second to second, and that's what Bruce is. And he does the heavy lifting, but I think he'd tell you too, our job is to go out, and of course now we're all in our 60s, so you go to the gym, you nurse injuries, whatever it takes, but you want to walk out there with him, and he's always calling on different people to do different things. It's funny because in the song Darlington County, it's like I sing this bit with him. And we don't talk about much because we all came up. So he starts going way out into the audience in the middle of nowhere, and my job is to get to him and be there to sing wherever he is. And I've done it pretty well, for 30 years, well, ever since Born in the USA, which Darlington County was on. And a couple weeks ago, because there's a video crew running out, so there's all these cables and a couple guys running with the whole thing and a big camera. There's 2 security guys because he's in the crowd, and people are pawing him and slapping him. So here I come running up from behind, and I'm, just about to get to him in time. And as I go grab the security guy, they start slapping me away, thinking I'm a fan. They're so tunnel vision in their job, they don't remember Nils is supposed to get to him to sing. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're slapping me away? And, people are grabbing at me. The video guys couldn't care less. I'm tripping over their cables. So afterwards, we had a meeting. And I said, guys, I got to come out there, right? So before you start hitting somebody, look around. It might be me. And we had a good laugh about it, but it was just hilarious because everyone's trying to let Bruce be Bruce, and everyone gets so in the zone that I was like, I'm just trying to get to him, man. You can't block me like that. It was pretty
Make
funny.
sure the guy with the Fender who's been around for 30 years, make sure we let him slide up next to Bruce and do his job.
Just for 4 lines that'll get out of your hair. And then some nights I go running back to the stage, and that's the great thing about Bruce. Everything's always different. So you just got to keep an eye on him. I started going back. I said, no, stay out here. So now I'm way out in the middle. And it's funny stuff because when you get further away, there's a little delay in sound, right? And his voice will be a little behind. That's just the way it is when you go halfway into an arena. So I'm sitting out there, and I came back one night because I'm a pretty good player and got a pretty good pocket. And my bandmate said, Nils, when you're out there, you got to stop playing. I said, what do you mean? I was like, oh, man, I forgot. Because, it's all right if the whole band's together and Bruce's voice is a little behind, but if I'm chugging on a hard guitar and I start getting behind, I say, oh, so now I play air guitar until I get closer to the stage. But this is all fun stuff that, for me, I'm still feeling like I'm learning and growing. I got a little list every day of stuff I want to do separate from what Bruce gives me to do for that night. And it's just a very exciting... It's funny, in Chicago... years ago, about 10 years ago, my wife Amy brought John Madden, who I did a lot of music for the All Madden teams, to a Chicago show. He loved it. And we'd been telling him, Bruce is the All Madden singer. And he went and talked to him before the show, and he came back out and he told me and Amy, he said, I felt like I was talking to a Hall of Fame quarterback on the eve of a Super Bowl. Just his focus and the calm, but, and it was really interesting coming from a guy like John Madden. And then it made me realize that this job with Bruce and the E Street Band, he makes every show a Super Bowl in a hometown crowd environment. And I really, because I played athletics my whole life, and you lose or you win. And I go to the street ball, you know, in the corner parks. But still, man, you come home taking, you know, 5 of 8 games, you feel different than if you lost every one. Period. Don't matter that you're not in the pros. You take it a little hard. And I recognize in the East Street Band, every night we're guaranteed a win. You're just working on the point spread.
I
That's it.
I love that you said he makes it a Super Bowl in hometown, because I've observed that recently you guys are in South Africa. You play the Specials, Free Nelson Mandela. You're in Australia. You play AC/DC's Highway to Hell.
Easy beats, Friday on My Mind.
Pittsburgh, working class town, you play the Clashes, working for the Clampdown.
Yeah.
When do you know that you're going to do one of those songs? Is that something that you find the day up? No, you couldn't find the day up.
There's no rules. You love it when you get a text the night before, which is rare. Traditionally, as he's on the way, maybe he'll go home for a night, on the way to the airport, he'll start texting you stuff, and you're like, oh man. One challenge, but if you get 4 songs that you haven't heard, then there's a scramble between YouTube and iTunes to try to find it physically. And of course, you ask the crew for help, but it's like this big scramble. And then, of course, the most exciting case is when he just pulls a sign out of the audience with no notice, and we're going to do it. And you know, you learn how to adapt. Like one time we did this song, You Never Can Tell, by Chuck Berry, and I'd never heard of it. And I'm pretty familiar with Chuck Berry, so I'm looking at him and Steve, and I can already tell they've heard of it. Okay, so those 2 guys, 2 guitar players had heard of it. So then I go up trying to figure out what key we're in, and you know, rather than try to beat yourself up for what you don't know, you figure out how to fit in. And I thought to myself, okay, these guys know it, so once we get a key, I'm going to put a bottleneck, and I'll just play slide, and you just keep moving the bar till you find a note that works, and kind of answer in instead of pretending and, you know, hitting all the wrong chords. What you try to do is contribute and keep a deep pocket going, even if you're very unfamiliar with something, and just not train wreck it out by trying to do too much. And we've all made those mistakes. And the other thing, Bruce has a great sixth sense about, like, if you're down in it and you do improv shows like that, there's rough edges all night. And he's okay with that, which you need to be. So he's got a real healthy overview of, you know, no one's doing shows like this and improv and songs to this degree. And it inspires him too, and just his way of challenging himself. And you know, he does the heavy lifting, but I think to a man, it's as good a band as we've ever had. Terrible loss of Clarence and Danny, but you know, Jake's doing a great job, his nephew, and kind of paying homage to those classical solos. And I got to hand it to Bruce, because after we lost Clarence, I mean, if he'd said, my heart's not in it, I couldn't have faulted him. So fortunately, some tours we've rehearsed like 2 weeks with a new album, and I like go and complain to everyone, like, what are we doing? We got a new album. Nobody knows what they're supposed to play. We got 200 other songs, and you gave us 2 weeks of rehearsal. This time we had 2.5 months. We used every bit of it. It was very kind of emotional and powerful. And I think to a man, we're very kind of almost surprised and impressed. We've been able to do shows. I mean, there's no Clarence 2, but the music is there, the songs are there, and the connection are there for the fans. And I'm really proud of Bruce for taking it out and sharing it.
I saw one of the first shows with Jake after Clarence had passed away. And
right.
What an emotional moment for the fans, but for you guys who had a relationship with Clarence and how big a figure he was, literally and figuratively. I have to imagine that presence is always lingering, that it's always there.
It's always there, and it's funny. You'll see me when some nights we have the top screen and they show the pictures of Clarence. I turn my mic so I can try to do my job and watch, because I looked into those eyes. I stood next to him for 27 years, and we were really close off stage, and we talked a lot, and it was really cool. So all I thought, and I got to hand it to Bruce. He called all of us and just said, I'm not sure we're doing this. I'm looking into it. What's your take on it? You know, and you know, my first take was, well, no matter how great, good, yellow, white, black, blue, green, doesn't matter. You can't have anyone standing next to me playing a saxophone. That's my take.
Yeah.
And the obvious thing was, which we wound up coming up with, and I know Gary was a proponent of the section, which we'd had. Kurt and Clarence did a great 2-horn section for a couple of tours, Magic maybe. But on the Tunnel of Love tour, we had a 5-piece horn section, which lends itself to that R&B quality in a lot of Bruce's music, and I was thrilled that's the way he went.
You said you and Clarence were close off stage. So you walk into a restaurant somewhere, is it the point guard and the center just walked in when you and Clarence were out hanging together?
Yeah, basically. And he played a lot of football when It's funny because one night I was doing the backflip on the Born USA tour, which is very dangerous, coming off a trampoline with my guitar on. And then we pulled Rosalita out of the set for a while, and Bruce was like, I was surprised on the plane. He said, "Nils, you're going to miss doing that?" Because I've been doing it since 1969. He said, "Bruce, I'll probably be relieved not to do it for a while." So we started doing other stuff, and during my introduction, I started doing a dive roll across the stage while I played guitar. I was a gymnast as a kid, and you take a big leap, dive, and doing it without your hands is dangerous because you land on your neck. So you try to get a lot of torque and roll so there's not too much of an impact. But I really got a lot of room and did that. And we did that for, half a dozen shows, and it was a little stick bit. We got these bits that sometimes just created on the spot, and if they work, they stick for a while. And one night I'm about to tear off from the wings, and he said, "Stop." And of course, this is Bruce now. I don't know what the hell's coming up. He said, "Got a better idea," because we're all hams, right? And this is me being a big ham in front of Bruce. So he said, "I got a better idea. You think you're, hot now doing this dive roll. I want you to jump over the Camaro." And he gets down on all fours in my way. And he goes, "Okay." No, we didn't talk about it. He didn't ask, "Do you think you can jump over me and not break your neck?" He didn't ask me. So now I go hauling over Bruce, and I do it, and I, get a little bruised up, but that's now the new bit. He stops me, he gets down. So one night, and again, that's the freedom we have. I just got this idea. I'll go over to Clarence. I said, "Clarence, when we do the introductions tonight, just keep an eye on me. I need your help." I said, "Okay." And that's the thing. He's like, "What are you talking about?" "No." "Okay. Need my help. Bandmate." So Bruce does his bit. He's down on the ground. The Camaro's there. And he says, "Okay." He gives me the sign. And I look at him and go, "No." And now he's going to be like, "What do you mean, no?" I said, "Camaro's one thing. Let's get the bus." And I called Clarence over, who gets down on all fours next to Bruce. And Bruce gets the bit. He's like, "You got to be kidding me." So now I got the Camaro and the bus. And I go hauling over both of them. And, man, it was pretty hairy. We did that for a while. And then Phil Dunphy, Bruce's trainer, pulled me and Bruce aside. And very uncharacteristic. He was hot, and he got in Bruce's face and mine. He says, "You guys think this is all fun and games? Nils is going to get paralyzed, and you're only going to have one guitar player. So keep it in mind, you got to knock that off." And we both looked at him like, but he was right. Oof. But anyway, that's the kind of thing, we had with Clarence. He was game for anything. And, it's been a beautiful ride, 30 years in the band, and I hope there's many more chapters ahead.
All of this discussion about music intersecting with athletics, is it true that every rock star wants to be a pro athlete and every pro athlete wants to be a musician or a rock star?
There's a lot of truth to that. On the opening night of the Born USA tour, I met Kevin McHale, and we've been friends ever since. And Kevin just wanted to talk about rock and roll. I wanted to talk about basketball. And as I did my tour, and we got to a lot of Celtic games, one of the great, for me as a sports fan, days of my life was we played in Greensboro, North Carolina, and we had 2 days off for Super Bowl Sunday. So I took a little prop plane in a snowstorm that somehow they took off and got me to Boston, went right to the Garden for the pre-Super Bowl game where the Celtics beat somebody. They had an NBA warm-up. Then there's a big Super Bowl party. We watched the game. And all the players, DJ, Larry Bird, they're all doing shots at Kevin's house. I said, "Come on, Nils, come on." And, of course, they know me a little through Kevin, and they know I'm a big fan. So I'm saying, "Look, guys, tomorrow I'm coming to your practice, and I'm going to get to play with the Boston Celtics. So I can't be doing shots." And they laughed, but, I was really serious about wanting to. So finally they get me to do a shot, 2, 3, 6. I wake up with the worst hangover, just a terrible hangover. Kevin, because he was there at the parties laughing, bangs on the door at 8 a.m. "Come on, we're going to practice." I stumble out. On halfway there in this, 8 feet of snow in Boston, he has to pull over while I get sick in a snowdrift. I get to there, and I'm laying there, you're so ill, watching these guys practice, and I'm so mad at myself. I'm like, I can't even move. I'm afraid of just breathing. I'm so ill. And they were laughing at me because they saw it happen. So then the practice breaks up. They start doing these 3-on-3. 3 guys go around the point line till the team gets to the other side, hitting in like 8 different spots. And Larry Bird walks by and says, "Nils, get up. You're on my team." So now I can't move. I'm afraid I'm going to get sick if I move. And Larry Bird just said, "Get up. You're on my basketball team." What do?
You get up.
You get up. You stumble down with just sick as a dog. You sit there shot putting 3-point bricks, but you played on Larry Bird's team, right? anyway, it was a funny moment for me. Later, I got to go on one of my own tours and play a 3-on-3 with Kevin and some of the other players when I wasn't that ill. But it was a funny, you know, sports and athletics. I mean, I got a thing at my website called Rockleats, you know, athlete and rock, and there's some of my dive rolls and videos that Bruce let me post there. You can check it out. But yeah, it's a great marriage of sports and athletics. And I thought in '69 when I started doing the backflip, playing my guitar, that within years everyone would be doing it. And it took a little while, but it's caught on. And now you got Pink, who actually did the Cirque du Soleil. She went and did it. You know, she didn't hire people. She went and became a gymnast. So, but it's a natural marriage, and you know, it was interesting all along. Kevin was always not interested in talking about basketball that much. Wanted to hear about rock and roll, and I get it. You know, I get the similarities because it is a performance. Big difference, like I said, is I don't have to lose. You get mad about something you didn't do as well, or this or that, but it's not ever a loss in the band I'm in, and that's a beautiful thing that athletics, you know, don't offer you.
We're going to end this interview with competition. We're going to have a winner and a loser because I'm going to take you back to your childhood. Okay. We got baseball cards.
Right. And
we're going to debate who got the best card. Not the best entire pack, but who got the best card. We have 2014 Topps or 1989 Topps. Which would you rather open?
Ooh, I'll take 89.
You take 89? So one of them fell on the couch here. Okay.
Okay.
I'll let you decide, Nils, what you want to do with the gum.
All right.
25-year-old gum.
So, wow, so now I'm just supposed to...
There you go. Oh, we're messing up the Fender
Yankee
guitar.
Stadium. No, it's a marriage of great worlds colliding here. So I'm supposed to pick the...
We'll discuss who we think has the best card.
Best card.
Let's see. I got Dave Parker. That's a very, very good player. Let's see. He's my best. Frank Viola, another good pitcher.
So the best group of cards?
I want your number one guy.
Well,
you coming up empty?
No, I got Destrada. I got Dave Winfield.
Oh, you got a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, so that's got to be my top of the list right there. Jim Leland. Those are my two tops.
It would be
Destrada
Winfield
and Winfield.
It would be Winfield Parker and Winfield trumps Parker.
Really? You think so?
Oh, yeah. Hall of Famer? Absolutely. Dave Parker had a very nice career, but you win.
All right. Hey.
They're all yours.
Look at me. A little rusty with baseball, and I still won.
NilsLofgren.com for the box set. If you're interested in the Fender guitar, it's MLB.com and Fender.com. This was awesome, man.
Yeah,
I really
Jack.
appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks very much.
Appreciate it.